I went to the dollar store, and I try to go fairly often just to kind of keep up on what's in there and watch how they expand, which they seem to almost every single time I go in. There's something new. These I saw, and you know, if I don't have enough coasters, probably, but these were interesting. But of course, dollar store, and I've talked about it in the past, not everything's a dollar in the dollar store anymore. Things that were a dollar are now $1.25, and there are just different priced items. And these were $5 in the craft aisle, and I took a few pictures. I'll put them up here. Some other things that they had in the store. There was one other coaster, and I don't remember what it was, but I think I took a picture of it. If not, there was one other coaster style in there. The paint your own stone kit, there were a few of those too, maybe 2 or 3 other ones, I'm not sure. I don't remember those either, but I think I did take a picture because I can't remember. And this is Craft Smith is the brand, and for $5, you know, heck, I thought it was worth a try. So I'm going to unbox these and show you what's inside of them. I'll just open the heart one for right now. Let's see if I can get this open. There we go. Place cement and create something great. So you get the cement, coaster base, 27 tiles, 1 glue tube, and a sponge. And the cement is powder. Here's the wood coaster. And I will say that feels fairly substantial, for sure. This is your glue stick, and these are the tiles. You get sponge and the instructions. These little tiles, I'm going to take a quick look at them here, are very pretty. They remind you of like the old marbles. I don't know if they even make marbles anymore. They probably do. But back in the day, when you could buy really pretty different kinds of marbles, they kind of remind me of that. Very shiny, very smooth, really well made. And I don't know about the glue stick. The next one is this paint your own stone kit. Okay, so here's your paint. And I'll have to open it up and see how good the paint is and make sure that it doesn't come dried out. You get at least 2 paint brushes, 2 different size ones. So it shows you here what's inside. You get 1 7-inch circle shape, and then you get the 2 paint brushes and 2 of the acrylic paints. And they have this pretty well stapled in here. Whoop. But I didn't look at the size, but 7 inches definitely isn't very big. So I would imagine this is probably plaster. I don't know if it says what it is on here, but I did not see. Yeah, there are no instructions. So it's just you look at it and you paint it. And you have the front of the box as a reference on what to paint and where to paint it. It just says wash your brushes after changing colors, and when you finish painting, allow it to dry for about 4 to 6 hours before displaying your masterpiece, and then allow it to dry. So I am going to open up this little yellow one here. I'm just going to grab a sheet of parchment paper for now. I don't plan on getting too messy. And, you know, I never do, but if you watch me do diamond painting, you know how much I drop things and spill, so let's wish me luck. Okay, so Here's the yellow paint, and it does look like it is nice and moist. I would imagine with most of these you just would do probably 2 coats, but goes on really smooth. I had purchased these at the Dollar Tree the same day that I bought all of these, which I got for actually watercoloring. I bought 2 of them, but these look pretty nice, so I'm going to just add a little bit of water to that quickly here. I will say for sure that you're going to have way more than enough of this acrylic paint. I mean, way more than enough. That's a really pretty yellow, nice bright color, went on very, very smooth. And I think that is probably dry enough to put a second coat on, so I'm going to do that really quickly. Dried very fast. Doesn't have really any smell to it at all. I used a little bit of the paint from the cap and was more than enough to get the centers of the flowers done. And that's all the paint that I used. So you're going to want to save the paint, I don't know, for some other project if you do other kinds of painting with acrylics. Okay. Yeah, I was going to see if I could get some of this that I goofed on off, but I think it's on there, to be really honest. I wonder, I mean, it's plaster. You probably could. Yeah, see, it's just, I'm sitting at kind of a funky angle when I sit here in this chair and try to do these projects. It's not really going to come off much. And I goofed over here too. I would actually find some white acrylic paint. If you're like me, I would find my white acrylic paint and I would touch that up. I'm just saying. So I may do that beforehand. But what I started to say is I would think that even if you sprayed this with a good sealer front, sides, and back, you could probably put it outside somewhere. I don't know if you could put it in the ground. There are some kind of strange, I know it should be doing that with a yellow paintbrush. Anyway, there are some strange discolorations around. Yeah, I'll get some white and touch that up because it's going to drive me crazy. Anyway, the flowers were purple, so I'm going to open the purple up, and it looks really nice too. I finished painting. Now, I'm not the best painter, and I just ended up having to touch it up, and then I would touch up the white, then I would touch up the color, and it was kind of a back and forth thing for a few times, and it's still not great. But I'm going to live with it the way it is for now. If you don't have a steady hand, or you're not the best painter, or you're using the brushes that they have included, I mean, this small one definitely I would use, and I wish I would have put a little bit more blue here, and I may do that after it cures again. It's much easier. I mean, if you get these big spaces, definitely the bigger brush works, but I mean, I get paint everywhere. But the little brush works the best if you're doing any kind of touch-ups, for sure. And if you're going around the edges, and see here, I probably need a touch-up where I got the white there too. Sometimes I just don't see it till it's at a different angle, and that happens a lot. But at some point you got to call it. I'd say it's pretty. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it is difficult to get your brush up underneath, these edges if you're going to want to keep as much of that white, which is really what you're aiming for with this look. But definitely worth the $5. I went back and I got this Crafters Acrylic Deco Art, Crafters Outdoor. That's all they had, this satin acrylic paint. I was hoping they just had regular acrylic, and I probably could have gotten some white at Walmart, and chances are I have some in the house in a box someplace. But it was just, easier for me at the time to pick this up. I didn't buy any more crafts. While I was there was nothing really new. They're definitely not the same as what they are in the box. They're much darker, I guess I want to say, or brighter. And I wished now that I would have got more of maybe these flower ones or these heart ones. These would make great Valentine's Day gifts. Anyway, this was fun. So next I'm going to work on these coasters, and we'll see. I'm not going to follow quite the directions that it says to do because I think I want to do it a little differently. That might be easier. What it said to do was to do your arrangement. Now, what I'm going to do different, I don't know what this smells like. So that glue is not too strong, but I'm still going to open a window, and if I turn a fan on, it's going to make a pretty big sound with my mic. And I'm trying to put my mic in a different spot so it doesn't sound quite so muffled. I am going to try to put these in the way that it suggests. Now these definitely are some different colors here. Some of these are a very light pink, some of them are darker pink, and then you have these red ones. But looks to me like most of these are, there's some more dark ones, dark pink. Most of these are light pink, looks like. So 4 of them are dark pink, and I guess those must be what they're putting maybe out here. There's 4 of those, so I need to pull this one off. What I wanted to do, I think, is probably, instead of putting glue all over the place, which is what it shows here. I don't know, that looks so messy to me. And I don't think you have that much glue. There's really not that much glue. So I'm wondering, for me, if I'm just going to put the glue on each one individually. I mean, just, put quite a bit of it and see if that works. So I'm going to put this one down here, like that one. So it looks like there's 4 of these left over. And maybe they're giving you 4 in case you don't want to do the other 4 on the bottom. I don't know. 14 is what it shows in the picture. Let's see. I mean, I could go closer together maybe and put one more in. But then I think you're worrying about making sure that you have enough space for your white to go in there. But I think I can squeeze one more in on each side. Now these went on the bottom. I'm going to try just doing without the dark pink because there's just no way they are all going to fit. I'm thinking not. I don't know. If I take these off, oh my goodness, these are hard to pick up. Maybe I'm going to go with that. There's no way I can do this design. Leaves a lot of space in there though. So yeah, you're just going to have to play with it and see what you want to do. I played with it for a little while, and what I had discovered is not only are there these red triangles, but there's these darker pink triangles too. Now that is what I have left over. I don't trust that there's that much glue in this little tiny container. And I could be wrong. I'm completely wrong. I think this is basically the design I'm going to go for. It's cold outside. I hate to open a window. Let's see how bad this is. So I'm going to see. Let's say I pick up this one. And I'm going to... No. So you have to poke a hole in it. That's probably why it doesn't smell, I would imagine. Okay, so I'm going to poke a hole in here, I guess. And then that probably will definitely change the thought of it, whether this smells or not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, but I just don't believe that that's going to... go that far. So I don't think the glue smells that bad. And so with my fingers, it's not going to be great here, but I'm not going to worry too much if I get glue elsewhere. I'm just worried about, now I should have been holding that probably. And so I think there is the center spot, just pretty close. So I'm just going to eyeball it and put it about there. All right, so there's my first one. And then I'm going to do the one on the bottom, I think. And this time I'm going to definitely try to hang on to it at least somewhat. Add the glue. And then see if I can get this down here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Now I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. I think about that grace that I was talking about in one of the other videos. Okay, so I'm going to just, they're just really hard to hang on to. I'm going to put some glue on this one. I would be curious to know what kind of glue that is. Now, the thing here is you got a little bit of room to move things around is what it feels like to me. So if you, yeah, I don't think there's near, yeah, there might be, who knows. Okay, so then I'm going to put this one down. And I mean, and they do slip. I'm just telling you, they slip a little bit. And it might be because I have, you know, just God's plenty glue on there. I don't know. It's still slipping even as I talk. They just kind of are not fixed. So I could be putting too much glue on. And then I'm going to have to lay these out, I think, back on here to get some idea. Because I had all of those on there. And then I had these two like that. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to go with this one next. Oops, can't pick it up. Just can't pick it up that way. And I'm not going to put quite as much glue on it. Of course, you know, by the time you squeeze it, it is what it is. And I had already glued that and didn't remember. Darn concussion. I absolutely cannot keep track of anything. Okay. They are messy though. Okay. But yeah, with a little less glue you can sure feel that it dries a little bit quicker. I mean, obviously it's still not even going to be perfect, but that's okay. And I was going to put a couple more down here. Okay, that's going to be the way that it is, I think. Whoops. And I was completely wrong. There is still glue left. I don't know how much, but you can see I maybe used it down to here, so not even quite half. It does say gloves, but you know, I didn't use them. It says wait 15 to 20 minutes for the adhesive to set. And then you can mix the cement powder with the water with a ratio of 3:1. The consistency is supposed to be like toothpaste, so I'm going to dump it into a little cup that I cut down, and I'll put a mask on, probably mix that outside, and then I will show you the consistency because it says it's supposed to be like toothpaste. It says wait another 20 to 30 minutes before you use a damp sponge to clean it off. And so I'm going to let that sit, and I'm going to work on the flour. I'm not going to open this bottle of glue because I don't think I will need it, but I might. By the time I get these on, the heart one will be done. Now see, those look much prettier than what you think they're going to look like when you look at the box. And I didn't follow completely what they did with the heart, but oh, there's a pink one. Was that for the middle? Must be for the middle. So I guess we know where that one goes, in the middle of the flower. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at what they've done here, and we'll see if this is a better duplication or not. There's not going to be room for those either, like that. So let's see what we can do here. We'll put those similar to that, but I gotta leave space in there to put the grout, or the whatever it is, the cement. Those squares just aren't going to work and leave any room for grout to go in between and in between here. So that's just how that's going to have to be. I keep wondering if there isn't something I can do with these squares. Like, you know, put them in the middle somewhere, but I don't think so. I would definitely suggest that you continue to fiddle until they act like they're going to start to set, because they still just continue to move around on their own with the glue. And I would imagine that it would be way more messy to take this glue and smear it all over the inside of this project. I'm just saying. This was messy enough and caused enough smearing, but if you emptied this entire thing of glue all over, yeah, that would drive me crazy. I'm just going to stick them in here. My dogs are barking, the neighbors are out. The sun is shining in the inland northwest, and everybody is out and about. Even though it's only 43 degrees out, we think it's a heat wave. I mean, 43 degrees, that's 10 degrees, you know, what, 11 degrees above freezing. I mean, 11 degrees above freezing, and they think it's a heat wave. Okay, and then there's a whole lot of noise still, you know, cat-a-corner across the way. They're building that awful apartment complex, which, you know, not like there was a view before the apartment complex. In the middle of town. Anyway, so these are all that's left. So you get quite a bit in there to play with, as I mentioned before. And I'm going to let this set. Did not open this glue at all. Still have this glue. I mean, this glue would probably work great for if you're doing card making or anything else. So with me, I save those kinds of things. And so here are the two waiting to dry. And these are not moving around. Whoops, they still are moving around. But I'm going to definitely let those dry, and when I feel like they are set good enough, I will mix up the cement. Okay, I live in a paranoid world. I'm just telling you that. I mentioned before, my world is just not safe, so I live in a paranoid world. That's my daily life. So I did what you shouldn't have done. I added a little bit of water in there, thinking that maybe I would curb the amount of cement, that powder that blew out into the air. Yeah, didn't work. So then I ended up with too much water in there. So then I dumped the other one in, and as I was continuing to try to stir it, I just couldn't get the ratio right. So probably next time, or if anybody else is doing it, I would suggest that, you know, you just put your mask on, go into an area where the wind's not blowing, and where you can dump the powder in there one bag at a time, and just slowly start pouring the water in. So anyway, both of these bags are in here. I'm just going to have to try to be careful. And it's obviously not toothpaste thickness. It is more runny than that, but it is pourable. And so I'm going to just pour half of it out or part of it out and spread it around. And I just used a plastic knife. You might have some other tool, but it definitely said you're supposed to get it in between all of the pieces. And I waited long enough. I had lunch, fixed me a grilled ham and cheese sandwich, and drank some more coffee, and talked to my husband a while. And finally, I think these got to a place where they are a little bit better. I want to say drier, more attached. Let's see what it says here. Pour and spread cement evenly to all spaces and crevices between the tiles. And then it's showing you that it covers the whole thing. And then you wait 20 to 30 minutes, and then you use a damp sponge to remove and clean off the excess cement. There's a lot of excess on there. That would be harder to, I want to say, get it off. I mean, so it doesn't say this, but I'm going to take off some of this excess. And it does look to me like it's in there. So I grabbed 2 paper towels, and I am just going to see if I can wipe off some of this. I don't know how much. Take my gloves off, throw this stuff away, and then I will return. Okay, we'll see how this goes. I checked it at about 25 minutes, and everything still felt pretty wet. And I thought, okay, well, you know, I think I'm going to let it go for another 15 minutes. And so I sat down and I fell asleep. So an hour and a half later, at least, this is what we're doing. So I'm going to see how this goes. And hopefully I didn't ruin it. But I'm going to wet this sponge really well. And I hope it works. Well, it looks like it. Yeah, not completely dry in some areas. And I think it's probably because I didn't do very well on my wetting the cement. But I would say good enough. I am going to see if I can't smooth that out a little bit in between. And then I'm going to grab this dry one and just see if I can get, well, not really. So I'm going to just wipe it off the best I can here. Yeah. See here again? See that bubble that comes up right there? Those must be places that didn't get filled, I guess I want to say, in between. And I can't imagine how much harder that would be if you had, I don't know if it was thicker, maybe. I don't know what I want to say there. There's no way you're going to know because you can't see what you're doing at all. I don't like that part. I don't like the part that you can't really see what you're doing when you're putting the stuff in. And I'm going to let it sit for 12 hours. These were one of the more fun projects that I've done lately. And I got them at the dollar store. Man, you can't beat that. Except again, you know, they were $5. These have cured for well over 24 hours. And they did get considerably whiter, I guess I want to say. All of these little tiny air bubbles that I had seen when I was trying to smooth them out, once it's settled, you could really see them now. This cracked here just a little bit, but that might come off once I maybe, tried to maybe scrape it off of the glass tile a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, there are things that I wished I would have done differently. And now that I have made them, if I make some more, I certainly know what I need to do and what I don't need to do. I wish now, too, that I would have just, figured these open spaces out a little bit better. Put a little bit more of these glass tiles in the flower. I definitely am okay with how this one turned out. Could I have gotten maybe some more in there as well? It's possible, but I'm pretty much okay with that. Yeah, I would definitely recommend them for sure. They were a lot of fun to do and pretty easy. That, if I can figure it out at least somewhat and get it done, and then anybody can. So, thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe, and be kind.